everybody. This is Juan Soto, Microsoft Access MVP, one of only 21 in the world, and you're at the SQL Server Access meeting for February. Normally we have these meetings on the second Tuesday of the month, but this February was my 40th wedding anniversary.
We still
so
can
we
hear
were
you.
in Mexico, and I'm gonna mute Michael. Okay, thank you. All right, and then Michael, give me a good thumbs up if you can hear me. No? Still can't hear me. Well, hopefully you can resolve those issues. Look, the fact is that I had planned this whole topic around CTE and stored procedures, but there have been some monumental changes to the AI scope I'd like to touch base with tonight and show you the latest version of SQL Server Management Studio, which has some AI capabilities that are simply unreal. But first, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share an article on LinkedIn. I'd like you to consider this. I'm going to be discussing more on this in upcoming meetings. I have two sessions that will discuss AI with Access. One is going to be on Access Day, and the other one is going to be with Carl's organization in Europe. He has a conference on Microsoft Access in Europe. I've been invited to be a speaker at that conference. Now I'll be talking about how to use Access to AI together. I got some very interesting techniques. And then after those two conferences are over, I'm giving them exclusivity. I'm going to come back here and I'm going to show you guys a 3-month part series on how to extensively use Access with AI, much more in depth than what I will in those conferences. So if you're in the Seattle area for Access Day, please consider joining us. Or if you're a regular attendee of Carl's Access Developer Summit Conference in Europe, please consider joining us there as well. I'm going to paste in the comments an article I'd like you guys to read when you get a chance. And I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see what I'm seeing in terms of the article itself and the SQL Server Management Studio. So give me a second here while I share my desktop. Alright, let's go ahead and minimize this. I'm using a Mac, by the way. Minimize that. Let's see, no, I maximize it. Alright. There we go. Okay, minimize that. Close this. Alright. This, I gotta bring up the window for chat, for participants, because people come in late, I need to be able to admit them. So give me a second while I do that. There we go. Participants, we got 8 people. All right, wonderful. All right, so raise your hand if you've read this article. Something big is happening. This is the article I pasted in the chat. Let me know if you guys give me a thumbs up if you read this article. If not, please take a look at take a few minutes to read this later on tonight or tomorrow. I read this yesterday at 3. I read this morning at 3 in the morning, and it was quite the eye-opener for me. One of the things that he talks about, Matt Schumer, is a multiple entrepreneur who sold many of his firms in the past. And the thing that really caught my attention is this guy made a living coding, and he no longer codes anymore. He starts a process in the afternoon. He tells the AI agents what he wants, goes to sleep, comes back, and overnight they've built the web app. They've tested the UI, they've done unit testing, they've fixed bugs, they made changes to the aesthetics of the program, and now all he does is comes in the morning and reviews it and launches the app. And what he mentions in the article is AI agents, they don't take breaks, they don't give up on difficult tasks, they keep trying and trying and trying until they come through with a solution to the software problem. Now, these agents and these AI technologies are the ones you pay for. A lot of you are still probably using the free version of these technologies. I encourage you, after you read this article, to sign up for the paid $20 a month version of your favorite AI technology, either Claude or OpenAI. Most likely OpenAI and Gemini. Claude for $20 is probably not worth it. We're spending $100 per developer now with Claude. I encourage you to go to the paid version because it is like night and day, the performance you're going to get out of these in terms of this. Now, I, as you know, make a living consulting with clients around the US and Canada on Microsoft Access. And as such, we are probably a little bit protected from this wave of engineering layoffs that are coming soon to this, because the fact of the matter is software engineers are going to be going away sooner rather than later. Architects are going to be going away sooner rather than later. The time where you're going to have an agent become a software architect is close at hand. And the one reason being is that for the first time ever in 2026, AI is improving itself. The rate acceleration of improving is, look at this, I am no longer needed for the actual technical work of my job. The AI agents are being used the AI model is being used to create the next model. And that model is being used to create the next model. And then, so something really unbelievable happened this month in 2026, where you had OpenAI and Anthropic release models back to back within hours. That was something that was unheard of before. I'm not exaggerating. This is what my Monday looked like this week. It's a really good read. It's a really long read. I don't encourage you to use AI to summarize it. But this is how fast it's actually moving. But one of the things that stuck me was that the AI model, AI is now building the next AI. And when you get to this point where the AI technology is self-improving, people have the misunderstanding that it's going to hit a wall, right? So right now, if you compare the AI intelligence and emotional intelligence, you probably can say it's okay, it's a junior software engineer, right? Great junior software engineer. The next level would be a senior software engineer. Then after that would be an architect. And after the architect would be a system integrator, right? Then it creates its own OS, right? So this scale of improvements in the next few months, that would be the scale you expect AI to go to. And it won't stop at creating the OS. It's going to create systems worldwide that we won't comprehend. We don't understand how they work. We just know that they're amazing and that we're all going to be using them, right? So it's going to get to the point where it'll create a software system that is so complex and so thorough and so unbelievable, right? That we will be all joyful using it and we have no idea how it works or no comprehension of how it works. And when it gets to AGI, it means it reached human level self-awareness, right? When it gets to AGI, there's this misconception by the general public that it'll stop there. It says, okay, well, I just became human level, right? That is probably the most laughable assumption that people can have. Because as the AI accelerates in growth, it'll surpass human intelligence and get to God mode, where it'll start designing substances that we had no idea how they work, but we know they cure cancer, right? It'll tell a software chemist, create these compounds, put them together on these conditions, grab this compound, grab that compound, create this new medication that'll cure prostate cancer, level 4 prostate cancer, just with a pill, right? I'm exaggerating, right? Do we know how the drug works? No. Do we know where it came from? With the logic? No, right? Because to us, it's far beyond our comprehension. But to the AI, it's just rudimentary. Now, I talked about this before on these meetings, but I'm not going to dive too much in here. I would love you guys to be able to attend my seminar Access Day in March or calls. Otherwise, when we come back from the summer break, I'm going to have an extensive series on using AI with Access. I'm going to give you a preview of that tonight. Would you guys like to see a preview? Can I get a thumbs up if you want to see a preview? All right, so I've got a little more personal information here. Let me minimize this. All right, so here is a preview. I use Google Gemini. I paid $20 a month for this. I laugh because it's so powerful for $20 a month, right? And what I've done here is I've imported every object from Northwind I exported as you know, forms, reports, queries, table definitions can be exported to text files. So I have this routine that exports all those objects out of Access, I imported them here into a project in Google Anti-Gravity. As you can see here, if you go through the list of objects, I got the forms here, and this is how the form looks, right? With the code of the form. I've got the modules, right? I've got the tables here. We got tables. I've got the queries. Every query from Northwind. George Heckworth, who's on the phone call today. George, shout out to you. He designed the latest version of Northwind database. And one of the things I did was, earlier this evening I said, let's see here, what would I say here? Okay, the scripted policy query. Show me a list of functions used in queries. So you might not see it's too small, so I apologize for that. All right, and went ahead and it says here are the functions identified in queries directory. Count, date add. It says I found these by scanning all SQL queries. That took 2 seconds. Then I said, are there any custom functions used in these queries? Let's access the database. So the seminar I'm going to give later on this year is I'm going to show you how to import these objects into AI. I'm going to show you how to make sure AI understands the purpose of the database. I'm going to show you a technique. It says, okay, here, prove to me that you understand what this database does. Then I'm going to show you how to create a prompt that will analyze the security, the structure of the database, and the programming to see if there are any features that are compromising security, any things that can be improved in order to improve the function of the database. So I'm going to give you all those tools where we start for the first month of AI Academy with Access. But you know, as a preview here, it went ahead and it did this analysis. I identified several public functions in the VBA modules. None of them were used in queries, right? Great. So it's a wonderful way to be able to parse through an Access database, ask us questions. But here's the biggest thing. Copilot is not coming to Access. It's just not going to happen, right? We have Copilot in Word, Copilot in Excel, PowerPoint. It's not coming to Access. So instead of Copilot coming to Access, we're bringing access to a much higher AI agent, which is Anthropic, Claude Anthropic, or ChatGPT, or in this case, Google's Anti-Gravity. And bypassing the whole Copilot architecture altogether, because as you know, Microsoft doesn't have a model of its own. It's using ChatGPT, OpenAI, and other models. They haven't come up with the Microsoft model to analyze. So you're skipping that whole Copilot integration and leveraging AI in ways that you've never done before. And the stuff that we'll be talking about later this year. Hopefully we usually finish by May. So I'm hoping to start in April, May, and then I might even extend it in June. Usually I take June off, but I don't want to take the summer off and then come back because the AI stuff changes so fast and we're using it so much. But read the article. I'd love to see you guys chat with me at the SQL Server Access group on LinkedIn. Let's discuss there what your thoughts are on the article. I'd love to see what your thoughts are on the article. Again, I pasted the article in the comment section. All right. Now, on to something truly groundbreaking, and that is SQL Server Management Studio 2025. I believe this is 2025. Yeah, 2025. I just downloaded this. I've been playing around with it. I have, again, the Northwind database loaded. And it comes with GitHub Copilot chat. So I have an account with GitHub, a paid account. I log into that account. I've been validated, and now I can use this to analyze the database and create queries. All right, so let's go ahead and show you a couple things first, right? So let's see here. Can you help me create queries, right? And that's the thing. I can interact with Copilot GitHub within SQL Server Management Studio. I can help create queries. I explored your current database and found the most used tables and columns. Here's the thing about this, and that is up to now, I couldn't ask it for specific queries as much as I like because it didn't have the database structure, right? So for example, I would give it vague terms in Cloud, OpenAI, or Gemini. I say I need to create a sales total query. Assume they have a table called orders, another table called order details. This is the JSON for these, right? It was a lot of work because I had to extract the JSON from those tables, upload it to the prompt, get the results. I don't have to do it anymore. I just don't. I come in here, I fire up the GitHub Copilot, log in with my GitHub account, and I start asking questions, right? One of the questions I asked it was, create a query that will calculate sales by month. Now I'm going to reshare my screen because that way you can see it better because it's probably not as big as it can be. Are you guys okay with the discussion so far, by the way? Give me a thumbs up if you guys are liking where we're going with this. All right, I got several thumbs up. Oh my gosh, that's a lot, thank you. All right, so let me share this again. This time I'm going to share. I have this virtual machine as an Access MVP. I get $150 credit a month, and I'm using that credit to create a virtual machine. I spun up a very powerful virtual machine on Azure, and that's what I've been using today. All right, so this should be a little bit better. Now you should see more here, and I can shrink this more. Let me see if I can do that. Give me a second here. And let me see if I can shrink this window to make it bigger. All right, that's a little bit better. All right. Create a query that will calculate sales by month and product, right? And so below is a template and a validated so and such and such. And that's the only bug I have with this. It jumped right away, right? And so I created this query for me. I see here. Okay, it created this query for me to calculate the sales by product and by month, right? So month start, product ID, and so forth. Now, what is the one thing I told you guys over the years? Those of you who've been taking these sessions with me every second Tuesday of the month over the years. When you create a query, know the answer before you ask a question. Because you want to make sure your query is correct so that your report is correct, and then your report is correct so that management can make correct decisions regarding the information I give them, right? And so I always say to my employees, know the answer before you ask a question. I'm like, what do you mean by that, Juan? Well, what I mean by that is, it created this query analysis, right? I need to validate the results of this query in Excel. So I'm not taking it at face value. I'm assuming it's correct, but I'm going to do like Marlo Ringen, trust but verify, right? So I'm going to trust that it's correct. I'm going to go to Excel, do an independent analysis of sales, and make sure that the query is correct. So always do that, please. All right. Now, there were several versions of this query earlier tonight I worked with. Notice that it's grabbing the start date and end date by calculating the earliest end date and the earliest and the largest end date, and using that as the basis of the query because we have sales and by different people and the sales different over the years, right? So I wanted to calculate that. But the original version I had here was I had to enter the dates, and so let me show you that version. And I apologize for the jumping around. Let me see here. Let me see if I can get this copy here. No, that's not it. How do I get this to not jump around? It's a little frustrating for me. Here it is. Okay, I'm gonna copy this query. So I'm gonna do Control N. Oh, it's a new chat. Well, I didn't want to do that. Okay. I'm going to do Control N. I'm going to paste the query. So notice that it gave me these dates, and then I had to, when I run the query, I wasn't getting anything back. And so then I replied to the AI, hey, I'm not getting any results back from my query. And analyzed my query and it said, the reason you're not getting any results back is because you are using dates that are not valid. And that's when it came up with the newer version, which would calculate the start date and end date here. Okay. Let me see if I can go back to my prior conversation now. Let me see, delete thread, no, new thread. I'm not sure if that one is back or not. Auto hide, move to top window. I'm not sure if this will come back here. All right. Now, one thing I love about SQL Server Managed Studios 2025 is that it will do IntelliSense, right? And I'm going to give you an example of this. So I'm going to say select order date. All right, so you see how I briefly came up with some code there see how it says order. So it knows I can press tab and it will automatically grab order date from orders. Where order date, and it gave me the where clause as well, right? Let me show you that one more time. I love this IntelliSense. I would die to have something like this in Access. So I got a new query in SQL Server. I'm gonna say select order date. And I'm doing it too fast. Here we go. Say order details, the order detail ID. So it's trying to guess what my query is about, and then I can press tab and automatically do this. So I'm gonna say order date, right? And now from orders, right? Which is correct, from orders. Well, if I can type correctly, from orders, right? Where order by, and now look at this. Order by order date descending, which is what I want. I want the most recent dates at the top, so I press tab. So I love the fact that the AI is suggesting to me T-SQL to query the database. Can you guys read that okay? Give me a thumbs up if you guys can read it fine on your screen, if you need me to make it larger. So when I execute this, I get the results here. Okay, again, a thumbs up from Chuck. Alphonse, thank you very much. This kind of IntelliSense is groundbreaking because it allows you to save so much time. Now, I'm going to say something here, and that is, let me see, the order date details. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. Does order details have, does the system, does the data, I'm going to ask this generic question. Does the database, database keep track of sales by salesperson? All right, I'm gonna send that over there. Now, when I launched this earlier this evening, before we started, it took a little bit of a while to understand the tables, the columns, and everything else. And it's thinking right now. I'm so used to ChatGPT and OpenAI and Gemini to come back almost immediately. Notice it's using GPT-5 Mini. I can switch the model if I wanted to GPT 4.1, which is much more advanced. But what I found is, number one, I don't want to burn through my credits. Why use the most advanced model for stuff like this, simple questions? Right now, if it gets stuck, sometimes you might have a complex query that's stuck, then I'll switch the model to probably ChatGPT 4.1 and so forth. So something to keep in mind is you want to use a model commensurate with what you're trying to accomplish. So you're trying to accomplish something simple, like a select statement, then it's fine. If you're trying to create a multi-join table, then you may want to up the model to get it to work for you better. Now, one of the reasons I was able to learn T-SQL back in the day is because, it does create aliases automatically, fonts. That's one of the things it did here. So I'm going to show you a query I did earlier this evening here, and it automatically used here, order details, OD. This was all generated by the AI, so it's a good question. George says he was one of the 5. Thank you, George, for clarifying that. So it wasn't just George. All right. So it's still, it's still lagging, still not as instantaneous as hoping to. Short answer, yes. The database. All right. So let's go ahead and rewind this. Oh, look, it came up with a query. I mentioned that. So let's go back to the beginning. Short answer, yes. The database records which employee handled each order. Salesperson, right? Relevant objects discovered in the current database. Foreign keys used. Recommended query. The script aggregates total sales per salesperson using line global values, quantity, unit price, Add a word class to restrict data if you only need a range. All right, so let's go ahead and try this. I'm gonna go ahead and come in here, start a new query. See this new query button here. And I'm going to tell it to apply. In the old days, you had to hit copy and then paste. Now I'm going to press tab over here and accept the changes. So now it's calculating this by, so let's run this query, and I got nothing. One of the things that I'm wondering is maybe it doesn't tag the query. So let me ask this question. Are there any orders that have an employee associated? I believe the employee table is empty right now. So that already answers my question. So that's why, because it's empty, when you start the database, it doesn't. No, I did not use the SSMA version of the Northwind database. I upgraded the access tables over to SQL Server. All right, so great. So I got this. Now I said, okay, modify query to include date range. That's all I said. Modify the query to include date range, right? So I didn't say ask me for a date range. Allow me to modify the dates myself in the database and the queries, right, and so forth. Let's see what it comes up with. Has anybody else been playing with SQL Server Management Studio 2025? Anybody else? Give me a thumbs up if you have been playing with it at all. Alright, so here it has two dates in there, and we came up with this, right? So here I'm going to click apply again. Now I want to show you what happens when I do this. I can either add to a new file, or I'm going to hit apply. So now it modified my existing query. It shows lines that it added, right? And it changes here. And all I have to do is click on tab to accept. So I hit tab, and now it accepts these changes. All right, so I love the fact that it will ask me before it actually implements the changes to the query and does this. I mean, it's truly, I hate to overuse this word, but it's truly magical. All right, so now what I like to do is, I like to be able to create a stored procedure that will take as an input the product ID, start date, end date, and return back a table of sales, right, by month. So I'm going to say create a stored procedure that will take as input product, order date, and return table of products sold by month. So take an input product, order date, begin, order date begin, and order date, and return table of products sold by month. Now, why would I have a stored procedure? This is a very simple stored procedure. I could have done the same thing with a view. But when you create a stored procedure, when you create a complex stored procedure, sometimes you have to do intermediary calculations using temporary tables in SQL Server. It's a lot. It can be a lot, but it's super fast. And so I remember once I was hired by a manufacturing firm in Chicago that had over 200 employees in the factory, and their entire order entry department, we're talking about 30 people in order entry, were using an Access database that was using data in SQL Server, but the developer prior to me had no experience with SQL Server views, stored procedures, either everything in Access. And it was so bad that when they opened an order in their system, it would take 30 seconds. Now, I've talked about this example before. And so I came in, I created views, I created stored procedures, I got it to half a second. To them, that was like magic. Oh my gosh, we were waiting 30 seconds. I mean, imagine that. There you are as an order entry person waiting every dime. Somebody's very impressed with the way it applies it. Every time, you know, so you multiply 30 seconds times 30 people times the number of orders that they will process in a day, it can lead up to a lot of hours per month. So I had a huge productivity improvement in that department simply by leveraging views and stored procedures in SQL Server. All right. So I created my stored procedure, created some notes for me to review, and it even gave me some example how to invoke this stored procedure, right? So I can use it in a pass-through query in Access. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click Add to New File. Create procedure, right? Add to new file. So there it is, a new file. Does this Copilot run validation against your data? Yes, it does. Verify that this is indeed correct. Now, so normally what I would do to test the stored procedure is I would run it within SQL Server first, right? Now, I have not created the stored procedure. Notice it's using the create keyword here. So I would have to run this code to create the stored procedure in SQL Server, right? Because if you come in here now and I go to stored procedures, tables, views, programmability, stored procedures, there isn't any. All right, so I'm going to execute this stored procedure, and now when I refresh the stored procedures over here, refresh, there it is. And now I can invoke it in another query in SQL Server. So that's how stored procedures work. So I need to come up with a product ID, product code. Not sure why I have to do product ID, product code, probably what to tell it. So I'm going to tell it to modify this. Modify stored procedure to only use product ID and not product code. Not sure why it's asking for both. Maybe George can tell me why it needs to do product ID and product code. I'm assuming they're both the same thing, you know, identifying the same product, but George can probably tell me anything different.
Product code was a human version.
Okay.
For the catalog.
Okay, got it. Okay. Yeah, so we don't need it. So let's see if it can modify the stored procedure. Thanks, George, for stepping in there. Appreciate you helping me out every night. Every time we have these. You know, I really need to return the favor. Come to your user group meetings. You always say present to minds.
Well,
I want to give a plug to George. He heads up the Pacific user group meeting. This is go to AccessUserGroups.org. Here we go. Look at this. I reached my limit. No more, nada más. Just a few minutes. I reached my limit, my free limit. So now they wanted me to upgrade now. So it was good while it lasted. This kind of stuff, to me, is a no-brainer to invest. Right? I have six Access developers on my staff, 3 web developers. And what I've personally been seeing in my firm is a 50% improvement in productivity. Now think about that. For every 2 Access programmers I have, at 50% improvement in productivity, that's like getting another Access developer on staff. I've got 6 of them, so that means now I have 9 Access developers. Right now, with 50% improvement in productivity. Once they reach 80% improvement in productivity, I'll have 12 Access developers on staff. Same amount of people. 6 people, but now I've got the capacity to do 12, right? So I'll include 12 of them. And the reason I say that is, Access developers are not cheap. Access developers are not cheap, right? And so you've got, as an owner of the firm, you're like, okay, I need a new Access developer. Back in the day prior to AI, I would go ahead. I would always say I want to hire somebody who's a business consultant first, Access developer second. And so I will go and do extensive round of interviews until I find the perfect candidate. And they knew Access, but they were great at customer relations, great at self-management, right? A seasoned Access developer who is not trying from scratch, because I just don't have the time to train. Not that I have anything wrong with them. That person makes 6 figures in the US, less in Latin America. And so it's not cheap to hire them, right? And there's a lot of pressure on me because it's like, to me, payroll is sacred. I want to make sure that we have payroll money for payroll every 2 weeks. And so it's like a drumbeat. right? In the jungle. Payroll's coming. This week there's no payroll, relief. All right, I'm looking at my bank account. My bank account's a little dry right now, but I'm expecting some receivables to come in. So hiring somebody at a firm my size is a monumental decision. But if I can provide them, here's my point to this discussion. If I can provide them a license to Claude, which just went down in price from $200 a month to $100 a month, I provide them a license to that, and they can be 50% more productive, then I have gained half a developer. And for every 2 developers, I gain 1 developer. Now they're 50% productive more now. In a year, how more productive will they be? Will they be 80% productive? Will they be 100% productive? So for every 2 Access developers, I gain 2 more, right? We're developing techniques in IT Impact that are groundbreaking, which I'm going to be sharing with the rest of the world. And one of my employees made this comment to me. He says, Juan, why would you do that? This is stuff that we come up with, right? Ideas. And my answer to that is, look, there's not enough Access developers in the world. There just isn't. There's more work than there is Access developers. And 2, just because I gave you the tools and the fishing rod, that doesn't make you an expert fisherman, right? Just because I gave you a great tackle box and a great fishing rod, that doesn't convert you into an excellent fisherman, right? I hope you do become an excellent fisherman, an excellent Access developer, right? Some people will run with it and they will use it, and some people will just be over their head, right? Now, once you read the article I posted for you at the beginning of this, and if you don't have the article, please let me know. Once you read the article, it's very alarmist. Software developers, software engineers are not going to exist here in a few years. They're just not. It's going to be done by AI. Now, I'm not worried, right? Number 1, Microsoft Access is the most popular database in the world. There's more databases in Access than any other database technology on the planet. Number 2, there's no Copilot in Access, right? Just yours isn't. And somebody is not going to use the advanced techniques that I've developed that I will be sharing with you guys later this year not everybody's going to be using those advanced techniques. And honestly, that knowledge that we have as Access, there's only 21 Access MVPs in the world. There's only so many books written in Access. Most of those books are obsolete right now. And George can tell you because he co-wrote many of them. When was the last time we had a brand new Access book come onto the scene? I think Alphonse created one on graphics, but a good programming book on Access with the latest techniques. And I haven't seen it, right? For years, hasn't been. I remember this person who used to write books, Allison. I once had this conversation with her this was back in the 90s. She said, Juan, I paid off my house creating these books on Access. But now people just don't publish Access books anymore. And my competition every day is going down. They're retiring. They're leaving the profession. You know, we're not the spring bunch here, right? And so I'm 62. I'm gonna turn 63 now in May. And so the fact is that there's less and less Access developers, and there may be less and less Access databases, but there's still millions of them. And so there's still going to be a need for our firm to be around for many years, if not only because they want to convert the Access database to web. And so I'm hoping to develop these techniques further and be able to leverage AI, become more effective, because there is huge price pressure. The other day I got a call from a company that has an Access ADP. Remember those? It was a really old technology back in 2003, which was wonderful back then. The interface with Access. It says, hey, I have this ADP project I need to convert to ACCDB. Well, we analyze his database, and we say, okay, well, it's going to be $60,000 to convert this. What? $60,000? Forget it. And I'm telling him, look, is this not a mission critical database in your firm? Yes, he tells me. What would happen if it stopped working? Well, it wouldn't be good for me. Says, so Are you not confident that we can do the work? Oh, I'm very confident you guys can do the work. Okay. So why not do the project? He said, well, I don't have the profit. My profit margins are very slim. I said, okay, well, why don't we? So I start talking to him about this, right? I'm offering him a payment plan to go over, but there's a lot of pricing pressure on the market right now, and so I have to use AI to bring down my prices because they're just going down the page, right? They're talking to my competition, which is probably on this phone call right now. My competitors out there, we all know who they are, major access development firms around the US. And they're calling, they don't know me for squat, so they're calling people and say, I got this ADP project and I need to convert to ACCDP. So Peter says, I've been using Copilot to optimize maybe, but now I will check out SSMS. My background is PIC DB3. I haven't heard of PIC, Peter. PIC DB3 multi-view DB, but I switched to my then Access SQL Server. You're spot on about Access developers retiring. Yeah, it seems like every month I get a call from an Access developers retiring. It says, hey, would you like to buy my business? And those deals are not easy, right? Because number one, those Access databases tend to be very complex. I didn't write them, so I gotta learn them, right? I gotta learn all the things they did. Then I gotta convince their customers not to bolt during the transition. So doing the acquisition is not an easy thing for me to do. I'm a small company. It's not like I have a team of lawyers to do all the paperwork and everything, right? Green from Australia. Thank you, Peter, for joining us. Appreciate you. Probably 3 in the morning over there. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, so look. Here's your homework. Right, you're going to sign up for an AI assistant to $20. Don't have to be a $200 one, a $100 one. Sign up. Gemini is $20 a month. OpenAI ChatGPT is $20 a month. Because when you use the free version, you're several models behind. You're several models behind. You need to get up to date and cough up the $20, and then you're going to see a night and day experience. And be able to use the latest frontier models is going to make a big difference when you use AI to code on your project in Access. Okay? Number 2, trust but verify. Do not take what AI gives you at face value, especially when it comes to queries, because it can hallucinate, right? Now, the neural models do not hallucinate as much or at all. And I get these calls from some colleagues of mine that say, hey, man, the other day you created this query for me and did a terrible job. I said, well, which model are you using? I'm using models such and such. Oh, you're on the free account, right? Yes, okay, well, stop using it, knucklehead. And pay, don't be cheapskate and pay the $20, so you're gonna notice a big difference. And he did. He went out there and signed up for the $20 a month model. I don't make any money, by the way, recommending these guys. But then he called me up and says, wow, you're right. It's amazing. I'm like, okay, it's a good experience. It's good to know, right? Even in my personal life, my wife is learning French, and she's got a tutor who she meets with twice a week, a live tutor, and she's using ChatGPT, and you can have conversations with her in French, right? I hear her, bonjour, comme ça. I kept picking these things up as I hear her do the things. I says, well, what version are you using? The free version? What? No, here. I paid for ChatGPT $20 a month, and she's like, oh my gosh, it's like night and day. All right, so you're gonna do that. You're gonna upgrade to that because you're gonna need those tools when we talk in April about how to leverage AI with Access. So I need you to be ready, right? It's gonna blow you away. The techniques I'm gonna show you, because I want you guys to get better Access developers, right? And if you're consultants and your competition of mine, I'm not worried. Learn the stuff, right? And be able to do that. And then you need to also, if you do sign up, make sure you also have Visual Code, installed, which is free. And make sure you get the IDE, the cursor, or Google Anti-Gravity. The nice thing about Google's Gemini $20 a month includes anti-gravity. So you get the IDE, which is the one I showed you earlier tonight. AI is accelerating faster than anybody has seen before. And the problem you have is most people have no idea. They just don't. They're not as technology inclined as we are. They're not understanding this stuff. They think AI is like Google, right? It searches the web for answers. They don't realize it's a predictive engine where it's predicting the next word and the next word and the next word. And now that we've reached this point where the AI is self-improving itself, where the current model is creating the next model, and the next model creates the next one, AGI will get here before we know it, right? The joke I have with my wife is, because I talk to her about this stuff, she's not techie. And the joke is, so once we reach AGI, how long is it going to take for the nuclear code to get compromised? Because she watched war games back with Matthew Broderick. Raise your hand if you remember war games. And he says, how long before between it reaches super intelligence and it gets the you guys remember war games before it gets the nuclear codes, right? I don't know how long it's going to take. I hope that they safeguard them. I created an essay about the right listen, by the way. All right, look, I appreciate you guys. We conclude the Access with SQL Server Academy series. This has been a lot of fun for me. I am going next month to the Access MVP Summit, so I'm going to come back with some news. I'll be meeting personally with the Access team. And if you come to Access Day in Seattle, the Access team, somebody from the Access team will be there. You can talk to them. We always love hearing about how people are using Access. We have a special guest, Roy, next month, who's going to be talking about AI and Azure. It's off topic, but I think it's going to be a great presentation. Please join me for that. That'll be the second Tuesday in March. Any questions before we go? Any questions, comments? You guys like what you heard? All right. If you like what you heard, do me a favor. Go on my LinkedIn SQL Server Access group. Leave a comment. It says, hey, great sessions, or if you didn't like it, just say so. Be happy, but leave a comment either on my Twitter or my LinkedIn or wherever you saw this event posted on. And join us next month, next month, where we're going to have a more AI topic. And then in April, hold on to your girdles because we are really going hard on AI Access. You guys looking forward to April?
Yes.
You betcha. You ready to be my Access AI? Kung Fu is strong. So will yours. So long, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.